मन की भाषा तू ही जाने, मन की भाषा तू ही जाने, और न जाने कोई दाता, और न जाने चिंताएं दूर हुई है, जब से मिला तेरा साथ। मन के शोर को तुमने थामा, हाथ में लेके हाथ, हाथ में लेके हाथ। धीरे धीरे हर मुश्किल से, धीरे धीरे हर मुश्किल से पार लगाता कोई दाता, पार लगाता कोई।
मन की भाषा तू ही जाने,
मन की भाषा तू ही जाने,
और न जाने कोई दाता,
और न जाने कोई।
कोई दाता, और न जाने कोई।
मन की भाषा तू ही जाने,
मन की भाषा तू ही जाने,
और न जाने कोई दाता,
और न जाने
न जाने कोई दाता, और न जाने कोई।
आवाज से परे, मधुर साज से भरे, अंदाज में बुलाए बाबा, पुकार के बच्चे आओ। आवाज से परे, मधुर साज से भरे, अंदाज में बुलाए बाबा, पुकार के बच्चे आओ। सितारों से दूर, सितारों का जहां, रहता परम सितारा, बेहद सुकून वहां। सितारों से दूर, सितारों का जहां, रहता परम सितारा, बेहद सुकून वहां। पंख प्यार के हम उड़ चले, आवाज से परे मधुर साज से भरे, अंदाज में बुलाए बाबा पुकार के बच्चिया। बाबा बाहें खोले, दिल से सुन ले, मृदुल स्वर में वो बोले। राहें देखे बाबा बाहें खोले, दिल से सुन ले, मृदुल स्वर में वो बोले। कुर्बान करके आओ पुराना जान, सुन प्यार से पुकारे वो शिव क्षमा। जी भर निहार के लिए पंख प्यार के हम उड़ चले, आवाज से परे मधुर साज से भरे, अंदाज में बुलाए बाबा पुकार के बच्चिया। सितारों से दूर सितारों का जहां, रहता परम सितारा बेहद सुकून वहां। सितारों से दूर सितारों का जहां, रहता परम सितारा बेहद सुकून वहां। बच्चिया 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 बच्चिया।
Om Shanti, good morning. Is the sound good enough?
Om Shanti, yes, it's very clear, thank you.
Okay, great. Om Shanti, everyone, and good morning. Today is a very beautiful Murli. I really felt as I was reading the Murli, Baba's deep love and care for us. You know, it was almost like how a very loving father would sit his child on his lap and share a few things to really help you understand what to do so that you are taken care of, that the best of you emerges. And that was the feeling, just a really deep feeling of Baba's care and understanding and love for all of us. This Murli was spoken, I think it was at the time when we were doing the Global Cooperation for a Better World project. And of course, that was a huge project, and it was a very busy time in service. So today, Baba's really highlighting the importance of creating that balance between remembrance and service. And that, he's saying how we make time for meetings, and service activity, we need to equally make sure that we make that space for remembrance. It's almost like don't compromise on remembrance. Many times what happens to us is we get so caught up in the task that we forget the energy with which the task needs to be carried out. And remembrance helps us to maintain the right energy when we perform the right task. And a couple of things that Baba is highlighting, and one of those is really that what makes us heavy, and of course when there's heaviness, there's tiredness. And what does that to us? It's really when we forget that we only instruments, and that really Baba is Karan Karav and Har. The responsibility lies with Baba. And there's a line in today's Murli where Baba says he doesn't feel any burden because he knows the task is already accomplished. And I really linked it in with, I think it was yesterday's blessing when Baba was speaking about being Trikaldashi. That when I am Trikaldashi, I see the bigger picture. And when I see the bigger picture, there's really that awareness that it's already accomplished. Success is already there. And it's just like we need to go through the motion. It's like we'll reach the destination. The guarantee is there. We just have to walk the path. So there isn't a heaviness or a burden when you keep that perspective. And really, it's like what Baba's reminding us that yes, he makes us instruments so that we can earn fortune. But ultimately, it's him that touches the right intellects, that gives the experience to souls, that will inspire the souls to become cooperative. So really remembering and really deepening that dharana of being an instrument, being a trustee. It's when we forget that, that it brings out the heaviness, the tension, and things like that. And the other aspect that Baba is also highlighting today is the importance that when we maintain balance, then also to keep the intellect fresh. Because it's tiredness that makes us heavy, but it's tiredness that also makes us intolerant. Someone's nature then begins to irritate you a bit when you're a bit tired. So, Baba understands us so well, but he also has this beautiful care in which he's giving us these markers to really know how we need to hold ourselves and sustain ourselves so that the journey is there. The destination is there, the destination is guaranteed, but the experience of the journey is equally important as the destination, because it's the experience of the journey getting to perfection that will reflect the stage of the soul, and that's where the real fortune is. So very lovely, subtle aspects that Baba is bringing up today. So the Murli today, the original date is the 20th of February, 1988. And the title of the Murli is The Way to Finish Tiredness of the Mind and the Body is to have powerful remembrance. So in Hindi, it was nice. It's like vidhi, the method. The method is to have powerful remembrance. So today, the Father, the resident of the faraway land, has come to meet his children who are residents of the eternal land, residents of the original land, as well as those who are living abroad for the sake of service. So do you feel that you're outside of Bharat only for the sake of service? Our hearts belong to Bharat. Bap Dada knows that you are my long lost and now found specially beloved children, and that you are residents of the eternal land, the supreme abode. At the beginning of the world, when there was your original land, Adistan, the original land, the land of Bharat, when it was your golden aged sovereignty, your own kingdom, which everyone calls Bharat, you were also the residents of that same Bharat. You ruled in this land of Bharat with Father Brahma. For many births, you lived lives filled with happiness and peace in your own kingdom. I always loved this thought that, throughout the whole cycle, we've had some connection on another with Brahma Baba. It's like as a Brahmin, there's that connection. It's just this last birth, we had to come to different places to do service. So you ruled in this land of Bharat with Father Brahma. For many births, you lived lives filled with happiness and peace in your own kingdom. This is why, because you were residents of the original land, you have love in your hearts for the land of Bharat. No matter how poor and dusty Bharat has become now at the end of the cycle, your land is after all your own land. My first trip to Madhuban, and when I landed in Mumbai, and as we drove to Ghatkopar Center, and I saw these little children on the freeway sleeping, and the thought came to me, Baba, what have they done to Bharat? It was like such a shock for me. So what is the land that belongs to all of you souls? And what is the land that you belonged to when you were in deity bodies? It was Bharat, was it not? Do you remember? Do you remember how many births you have lived in this land of Bharat? All of you had attained your inheritance for 21 births from the Father, and you therefore definitely have this guarantee for 21 births. Later too, all of you souls took many other births in the land of Bharat, because the souls who are close to Father Brahma, souls who are to become equal to him, will play their parts of being the ones who are worthy of worship and worshippers with Father Brahma. It is you Brahmin souls who become the first devotees of the Copper Age. At the beginning of heaven, you were residents of this land, and you have been residents of the land of Bharat many times. Thank you. This is why you have deep love for Madhuban, the alokik world of Brahmins. So it's going to be 2 years now that we haven't been to Madhuban. But our hearts are there. I think every day we remember Madhuban, don't we? This Madhuban is the small world of Brahmins. Do you like this world very much? Do you not? You don't feel like going back from here, do you? How many of you cried when you had to leave Madhuban? Yeah, once Charlie Bai was laughing at me because I was crying. If an order were to be given for you to become a resident of Madhuban right now, you would be happy, would you not? Or would you think, who will do service? Will you have that thought? Dada, will you have that thought? Oh, he said yes. Okay, I won't have that thought. I will say I'm staying. So who will do service? That you should go back for service? If Bab Dada were to tell you to sit down here, would you still remember your service then? Who is the one who inspires you to do service? To follow the Father's directions and Srimad in the way that they are given is to be a truly obedient child. Bab Dada knows whether to make you sit in Madhuban or to send you on service. Brahmin children have to remain ever ready in every situation. This means more in many ways, actually, you know. One is wherever I'm asked to be, let me be happy to be there and do whatever is needed to be done, whatever comes in front of me. But also, if I have to fly off, then I should be ready for that as well. Brahmin children have to remain ever ready in every situation. Remain ever ready for the direction you receive right now. Do not let the dictates of your own mind, even the slightest thought, be mixed in this. This is known as being an elevated soul who follows Srimad. You know that Bab Dada is responsible for service, do you not? Or are you responsible? Baba's asking today. Do you feel Baba's responsible or are you responsible? You are free from this responsibility, are you not? Or do you have a little burden? So what happens when we have a little burden? What's the sign?
Surrender.
Yeah, but
Surrender. We won't be.
we won't be free. There's no surrender easily. But Baba is giving a very nice indicator. What's the thought that goes in our mind or what we end up saying? So he's asking, you are free from this responsibility, are you not? Or do you have a little burden? I have to do such a big program. I have to do this. You don't consider all of that to be a burden, do you? So Karan, Karavan, Har is making you do it. We forget it's Baba that's moving us. Only the one Father is Karan, Karavan, Har. Sorry, only the one Father is Karavan, Har, and he has been touching people's intellects and carrying out the task of world service and he will continue to do it. He simply makes the children the instruments, because those who do something will receive the fruit of it. It is the children who will receive something. The Father doesn't want to attain anything. It is souls who are to receive the reward and also experience the fruit of service. This is why he makes children instruments. You saw the task of doing service in the corporeal form. And you are now also seeing how the Father, Karav and Har, is working through Avyakt Brahma and getting the service done. The speed of Avyakt service is very intense. We can almost see that even now it's like quadrupled, you know,
Yes,
because
differently announced.
yeah, definitely. And also like Dadi and them are now also, you know, in the Avyakt. So there's extra power, things happening quickly. So the speed of Avyakt service is very intense. The one who inspires is inspiring you. And what are you doing? And you are dancing like puppets. So the puppeteer has the string in his hands and he's pulling the strings and we just dance along. So the one who inspires is inspiring you and you are dancing like puppets. This service is also like a play. The one who inspires is inspiring you, and you as instruments are creating a multi-million-fold reward with each step. So who has the burden? The one who is inspiring it to happen, or the one who is doing it? The Father knows that even that is not really a burden. You refer to it as a burden, and so the Father also uses the word burden. For the Father, everything is already accomplished. And you know, like how much do we hold that awareness? That's being Trikaldashi. It's already done. It's already successful. How much do I hold that awareness? Because to the extent that I hold that awareness, to that extent, I'll do what needs to be done, but without the feeling of worry or any kind of heaviness, because it's already successful, you know. Everything is just like drawing a line. Does it feel like a big thing to draw a line? So Babdada enables service to take place in this way. Service is also just as easy as drawing a line. You are simply repeating everything for the sake of it. You are simply playing a game. Just as the obstacles of Maya are a game, so too, service is also not effort, but a game. By thinking in this way, you will constantly experience refreshment in service. Why do people play games? To have fun, isn't it? To enjoy yourself, yeah. Not to get tired, they play games to feel refreshed. No matter how big the task is, you will experience it to be like a game and feel refreshed. No matter how tiring a game may be, by considering it to be a game, there won't be any tiredness. because you are playing that game with your heart in it. You know? We do things from the heart, there's no labor. No matter how hard you have to work in a game, you feel that it is enjoyment because you are doing it with your heart. Some mundane tasks feel like a burden, and you feel that you have to do them for the livelihood of your body. You do that considering it to be your duty. This is why it takes effort. When something is physical, whether something is physical or intellectual work, when you consider it to be a duty, you experience tiredness because you are not doing it with happiness in your heart. Whatever task you carry out with enthusiasm in your mind and with happiness, you won't feel tired doing that. You won't feel it to be a burden. Sometimes, some children take on more tasks than is required for their service, and they therefore sometimes feel tired. Bapdada sees that some children maintain their enthusiasm and continue to do service tirelessly. Nevertheless, you maintained courage and are moving forward. Bapdada is pleased to see this, but nevertheless, you must definitely keep your intellect light. Yeah? Not to overthink things. Sometimes planning is important, and to think things through is important, but sometimes some souls overthink, and then it becomes like bigger than what it's supposed to be. Bapdada continues to watch all the children's plans and programs while sitting in the subtle region. He gets quite entertained, hey? Looks at everything from above. Each child's record of remembrance and service is with Bapdada at every moment. Just as in your world, you have many facilities for keeping records. So the Father has even more refined facilities than the scientific ones to keep your records. And these continue to work automatically. So whatever task the instruments of science carry out, they only function with light. The Baba's meaning like electricity, computers and all of that. The subtle region is of light. The facilities that function with light are still facilities of matter. But the facilities of the subtle region are not of matter. Matter changes from Sato to Raja to Tamo. You can see how more and more matter is becoming unreliable. Load shedding and whatever else, floods and everything. It's unreliable. It's fragile. So at this time, the elements of matter are thamoguni, and this is why those facilities work one day, but don't work the next day. However, the facilities of the subtle region are beyond matter, and this is why they do not change. Whenever you want, and however you want, the subtle facilities constantly continue to carry out their task. This is why it is not a big thing for Bapdada to see the records of all the children. it becomes difficult for all of you to look after the facilities. So Bab Dada is looking at the records of both remembrance and service, because a balance of the two brings you extra blessings. Baba was sharing it, I think about 2 Sundays back. He said, if the service you do creates obstacles, then it's not accumulating in your account, because it's creating more Maya than actually benefit. So the balance is important, because that enables the account to be accumulated. So Bab Dada is looking at the records of both remembrance and service, because the balance of the two brings you extra blessings. You make time for service, but you sometimes use more time for service than for your general discipline. To use your time in doing service is a very good thing, and you also receive power from doing service. And because of being busy in doing service, you are also protected from many small things. So it's like using our time in a worthwhile way. Bab Dada is pleased to see the children's service, and he surrenders himself to your courage. However, if there is any service that causes the slightest block in your remembrance and progress, then the time for that should be reduced. For instance, when you stay awake till midnight or 1 a.m., your Amrit Vela will not then be fresh. You sit according to a discipline, but if your Amrit Vela is not powerful, a difference is created in your remembrance and service throughout the day. So we can't use service as the excuse to not follow our disciplines. It's like really don't compromise, because all 4 subjects are important, like don't miss Murli because you're busy with something. It's like Amrit Vela, Murli, those are our key things. If we have those in place, then everything else falls around it properly. But I see that when people compromise on Amrit Vela or Murli, then it's always a struggle. Even service becomes a struggle then. So to have our priorities proper. Yeah. So you sit according to a discipline, but if your Amrit Vela is not powerful, do you want the heater? Okay. So you sit according to a discipline, but if your Amrit Vela is not powerful, a difference is created in your remembrance and service throughout the day. It takes time to make plans for service and to put those plans into a practical form. So then, instead of going to sleep at midnight, cut that down and go to sleep at 11 p.m. The 1 hour you cut down that gave rest to your body will enable you to have good Amrit Vela, and your intellect will also remain fresh. Otherwise, what happens? Your conscience will bite you that you are doing service, but that your chart of remembrance is not what it should be. When you repeatedly think that something is not as it should be, that it is not happening in that way, then because of that thought, your intellect doesn't stay fresh. However, when your intellect is fresh, you can then do 2 or 3 hours of work in 1 hour with a fresh intellect. I think it was just something that Shelben and I were sharing briefly the day before yesterday or whatever, that when I've been consistent with my efforts, then even when a situation comes like the body is not well or whatever, you feel that the accumulated efforts carry you at that time, you know? So it's the consistency in efforts that actually supports me at those critical moments, you know? So how important it is to keep that perspective and priority. So Baba's saying, however, when your intellect is fresh, you can then do 2 to 3 hours of work in 1 hour with a fresh intellect. You experience something taking longer time because of a tired intellect, do you not? However, the fresher your intellect remains, physically as well as spiritually, with double freshness, 1 hour's work can be done in half an hour. Therefore, always pay attention to your daily timetable so that you have a fresh intellect. Let there not be the habit of sleeping too much. Don't overdo it on that side now. But however much time you feel is necessary for your body, definitely pay attention to giving it that much rest. If sometimes when there is a chance to do a particular type of service, you have late nights 2 or 4 times in a month or 2 months, that is a different matter. But if your body is always tired, that then creates a difference in your remembrance. You make a program for service that you have to have 4 hours of it, and you make that time. In the same way, think that you definitely have to make time for remembrance too. Consider this to be essential and make your program in this way. Don't be lazy, but definitely give your body rest. Continue to move along with this method because day by day, the time is coming when service will move at a fast speed. You might think, okay, let this 1 year's project be completed and we will then take a rest and put everything right, that we will increase remembrance at that time. However, the projects for service are newer by the day and getting bigger day by day. Therefore, always keep a balance. Let your Amrit Vela be fresh. And do that same work at the right time, and you will then receive extra blessings from the Father. Then because your intellect is fresh, you will be able to do the work very quickly and successfully. Do you understand? Samjha? Babdada is seeing you children have a lot of enthusiasm, and this is why you don't even think about your bodies. You are moving forward with zeal and enthusiasm. Babdada likes it when you move forward. Nevertheless, a balance is definitely needed. You may continue to do it and continue to move along. But when you sometimes have a lot of work to do, then because your intellect is already tired, you are unable to do as much as you want. Secondly, because you have a lot of work to do, when there is the slightest upheaval caused by anyone, due to any reason, then because of tiredness, there is also irritation. And this reduces your happiness. Generally, you are fine internally. You are receiving the power of service. You are experiencing happiness, but yet your body is still old, is it not? Yes, we all experience the wear and tear, as Indrani is putting it. You know, I remember once when Daddy, she fell in Om Shanti Bhavan, Daddy Janki, and hurt her head. And so then they took her to Ahmedabad and, you know, did some tests and everything. And the doctor said to Daddy, definitely her gut, you know, she had lots of problems in her abdominal area. And he said, and that's wear and tear because it was almost 100-year-old body or whatever. He said, but Daddy, your brain is still so good. I remember Jayanti Ben sharing, Daddy, but your brain is so good. So Baba is saying the body is getting old, there is wear and tear. Therefore, do not get into too much. Keep a balance. Your tiredness should not affect your chart of remembrance, no matter how busy you are doing service. No matter how busy you are, the special way to finish tiredness is definitely remembrance. But Baba's, you know, it's almost like from that time, Baba highlighted the importance of traffic control, the drill. So no matter how busy you are, the special way to finish tiredness is definitely to make time for 1 minute of powerful remembrance every hour or every 2 hours. So take that pause and reconnect and recharge the self. For instance, when someone is physically weak, then in order to energize him physically, doctors give him medicine to boost his energy every 2 hours. So you have to make time to take that medicine, do you not? So every now and then, make time to have powerful remembrance for 1 or 2 minutes, because all the vitamins, A, B, C, and I'm going to include D, are included in that. Yeah, D is very important. You were told why you are unable to have powerful remembrance constantly, were you not? Since you belong to the Father and the Father belongs to you, you have all relationships with him. You have love for him in your heart. You are knowledgeful. You have experienced attainment from him. Yet what is the reason for there not being powerful remembrance constantly? You do not keep a link in your remembrance. The link breaks and it takes time to reconnect it. It's like, you know, we get too absorbed in what we're doing. So we forget Baba totally, you know, even that awareness in the, sometimes you have to concentrate with what you're doing, but there's a feeling that it's like Baba is in the background in a way, but when we break that link, then it takes effort again. So you do not keep a link in your remembrance. The link breaks and it takes time to reconnect it. It takes effort so that instead of being powerful, the remembrance becomes weak. There cannot be forgetfulness. You do have remembrance, but for there to be constantly powerful remembrance at all times, automatically, this link must not break. Let the link of remembrance be forged with your intellect at every moment. This is the method for that. Consider this to be essential too. Just as you consider that work to be essential, you don't want to get up from your seat until a plan is accomplished. And so you give it your time and energy. In the same way, this too is essential. Do not give this a low priority, thinking that you will first finish your work and then have remembrance. No. First of all, add time for remembrance to your program. It's like always begin with remembrance, always end with remembrance. You know, it's like keeping Baba's presence in, and in a way, it's also why are we doing what we're doing? You know, it's because of our relationship with Baba. So just as you fix a service plan for 2 hours, whether it is a meeting or doing something practically, then as well as those 2 hours, you also have to add this in between. Then the plan that you would normally make in 1 hour, you will be able to do in half an hour. So a good sign, Shaliben, is that instead of having long meetings, if we can cut our meetings, it's a sign that our intellect is fresh. If the intellect is fresh, it should take less time. So that's a good benchmark for us to work towards.
Let's check it out.
So Baba's saying, just as you fix a service plan for 2 hours, whether it is a meeting or doing something practically, then as well as those 2 hours, you also have to add this in between. Then the plan that you would normally make in 1 hour, you will be able to do in half an hour. Just try it and see. For your eyes to open automatically with freshness at 2 a.m. is a different matter. However, when you have to stay awake because of a task, your body is affected. Therefore, always pay attention to keeping a balance. When Bab Dada sees the children so busy, what does Baba want to do then? He feels that their heads should be massaged. However, you can see your father putting you on your lap, on his lap, and rubbing your head gently. However, if you make time, Bab Dada will massage your heads in the subtle region. That too will be a lokik. It will not be a physical massage. You will be completely refreshed. Even 1 second of powerful remembrance makes your body and mind fresh. Come to the Father's world. Whatever thought you have will be accomplished. Whether it is physical tiredness, tiredness of your brain or of your stage, the Father has come to remove your tiredness. Today, Bab Dada is having a personal heart-to-heart conversation with the double foreigners. You have done very good service and will continue to do it. According to the drama, it is fixed for service to increase. No matter how much you think that it has now become too much, the destiny of the drama is also fixed. Therefore, you have to make plans for service, and all of you have to become instruments and make it happen. No one can change this destiny. The Father may want to give you a rest from doing service for a year, but He cannot change this. Would you be able to sit without doing service? Just as remembrance is the nourishment of Brahman life, similarly, service is also nourishment for this life. Can anyone live without nourishment? However, a balance is essential. Do not do so much that there is pressure on your intellect, and do not do so little that you become careless. So let there neither be any pressure nor any carelessness. This is called a balance. So to those who constantly have a right to blessings from the Father by keeping a balance of remembrance and service. To those who constantly remain double light, like the Father. To those who constantly keep the link of powerful remembrance forged. To those who constantly keep their bodies and souls sorry. So to those who constantly keep their bodies and souls refreshed, to those who perform every action in the right way, to those who always attain elevated success, to such elevated and close children, Bapdada's love, remembrance, and namaste. And then the blessing for this morning. May you have a right to a Sun dynasty status by remaining aware of your elevated fortune and by staying in your powerful form. May you have a right to a Sun dynasty status by remaining aware of your elevated fortune and by staying in your powerful form. Those who constantly keep their elevated fortune in their awareness have a powerful form. They constantly have their eternal and real form in their awareness. They never adopt an artificial face. Many times, Maya makes your form of virtues and duties take on an artificial form. She makes someone angry, someone greedy, someone unhappy, and someone peaceless. But your real form is beyond all of those things. The children who remain stable in their real form claim a right to a Sun dynasty status. And then the slogan this morning, become one who has mercy for everyone, and the ego of I and any doubts will finish. Become one who has mercy for everyone, and the ego of I and any doubts will finish. Om Shanti. So very lovely Murli. Just Baba was like more like a chit chat with us, but such a understanding and care that we felt from Baba. So let's just take a few moments of silence and then we can share some points. Okay, Om Shanti. So anybody wants to share a point? Please unmute. So please unmute and share what you took from Baba's Murli today. What inspired you? Anyone?
Good morning, Om Shanti. The one point that really struck me was that in the Avyakt, I can't repeat the exact words, but basically things are unchangeable. And so if we're using the Avyakt form, it's not, it doesn't change in the same way the physical world changes. And that constancy and stability of that form is basically enabling. It allows us to operate on a completely different level. So the more practice we have of that, obviously the more powerful the vibration, the energy of whatever we do is going to be.
Yes, it was beautiful because anything in the corporeal has to go through the stages of Sato, Rajo, and Tamo. And being in the Avyakt, it's beyond that. It's beyond entropy. So therefore, the energy is high. Thank you, Shuna. Anyone else would like to share?
Om Shanti. I think just how Baba highlighting the value of Amrit Vela and that to keep it powerful and not to allow anything to compromise that energy. And also to check, I'm not subtly justifying why I need to be busy, but really to have that, that priority and that discipline. And it was just really the care from Baba. I felt the whole Murli was such care from Baba that if the body and the mind or the soul and the body is taken care of in balance, then we're able to do what we need to be doing powerfully. So yeah, very beautiful. And just as Sister Shuna was sharing, and just thinking about, do I only use the facilities of this world, or do I use the facilities of the subtle? And those are what I can rely on, because here they can not work at any moment, but the facilities of the subtle region are always reliable. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it is, and I think when we have that commitment to our dharna, and that's where, as Baba highlights, the disciplines are so important. Everything else falls into place. Everything else, you'll have time for everything else when you keep that attention to on our principles And it takes less effort. I think that was the key thing that Baba shared. It takes less effort to do the things that we need to do when we keep our priorities clear. Indani, wanna share? Come share.
Shanti, good morning. I like the way Baba says he does the record keeping, like how we keep records. He has a record of our remembrance and for our service. And his instruments are very refined as to compare to the instruments we have here. So how accurate it must be. So my remembrance must be so accurate and my service as well. And I like the aspect Baba says, when you make the time and when we go to the subtle region, then if we are so occupied in what we are doing, then he can massage our head. Not in a physical way, but in a subtle way. And this will definitely give us power and refresh us. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Okay.
Go ahead, Abhinav.
What I love about today's Murli was the aspect of balance. Just looking at the contrast between keeping your body in good condition, whether it's through rest, whether it's keeping the mind above, not having too much of pressure, but at the same time, don't being lazy or careless, and just find that right balance such that in all that you do, the balance actually is a form of service.
Yeah.
Even understanding that whether it's keeping yourself physically healthy, keeping your relationships very healthy, just making sure that everything you do is done in a worthwhile way. Service will grow on account of accumulation is in what you do. Just knowing where the balance is, how you can gain more in service just through a little bit of caution, attention, and there's efficiency, efficacy. Om Shanti.
Shanti, thank you.
Om Shanti. I also constantly throughout the Murli, Baba was reminding us the greatest benefit is in building remembrance in whatever we do, bringing Baba's energy in whatever we do, and allowing Baba's energy, Baba's presence, Baba's vibrations to be so present, and that will create the powerful balance. And in that way, bringing Baba's presence and energy, then I, the soul, don't get on the way, and then, bringing those sanskaras into play and allowing Baba to use the soul when I am that clean instrument and connected with Baba and allowing Baba to do everything. So for me, that highlighted what Avyakt service is, and Avyakt sustenance and everything, how to sustain the self. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelby. Anyone else?
Om Shanti. I especially like the point of.
Okay, so there are one or two on the chat that I'll read out. Go fast, but with Baba's speed, accuracy, and quality. Once a friend of mine finished an MBA program that's supposed to be 2 years in 3 months, but he was not married. I also like, I also like come last, go fast, come first, but with speed, accuracy, and quality. I also like how we can refresh the body and the soul in, say, one powerful moment or one powerful second. So yeah, Baba gave such a beautiful yukti that in between our days, just take that minute of powerful remembrance, and that refreshes body and the intellect. Someone here said, Jeremy, the 1 year break Baba mentioned could be the Corona period, but service still continued. Yes. So physically we could not run around, but yet, science supported us to do service still. But yeah, it has been an opportunity to reset our focus. And also we are seeing that the impact is more through remembrance and our stages. So the more balance we have, and we have to, Daddy always used to tell us, you have to look like, full and happy and and alive and refreshed, so you can't serve if you're not looking well. Yeah. So how important to keep that balance. Okay. Sister Eva, I see you unmuted. Would you like to share a
Yes.
point?
Yes, thank you. Om Shanti. I especially like the point Baba raised about having a fresh intellect and that the link must not
Can't
break. He
hear
says,
anything.
hello, Om Shanti.
Okay. I'll
We
read
can
the...
hear Pratiba. We can hear
okay.
Sister Eva.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Baba was saying, let that link not break and keep that link forged with Baba. And I think for the entire month, he has been telling us to have that volcanic remembrance and yoga. And so that intensifies that bond with Baba. And it's extremely important in keeping that balance between service and also remembrance. Om Shanti.
Thank you. So let me read the point. Today is the 25th. Shilpa, mute your side. When anything is put into fire, its name, form, and virtue, quality all change. Similarly, when you are put into the fire of the Father's remembrance, you are transformed. From human beings, you become Brahmins, and then from Brahmins, you change into angels and then into deities. Such transformation takes place through the fire of love, that no consciousness of the self remains. This is why remembrance is said to be volcanic. Om Shanti. So, Shelby, you want to make any announcements? Okay, so today basically the funeral will take place at 2 o'clock. That the funeral will be also, I think, on YouTube. So we're just waiting for the link from Pune's, because they are the ones that set that up. And I think as soon as Nita receives it, she will pass it on to all of us and we'll forward it. And then what we will do is that after the funeral, at 5 o'clock, we will offer Bhog here at Lanesia Center. And so that will also be Zoomed, and everyone can join for the Bhog offering in memory of Hasuben. And it will be an opportunity for us then to just share a little bit, because the time for the funeral is very short. They're literally giving 15 minutes for the ceremony and that to take place. So at the crematorium, it will be very short, but then we'll have a bit more space after we offer Bhog at 5 o'clock. So I have sent the link out for the Bhog offering to the teachers, and so they will send out to the various groups this morning. Thank you. Shanti. So let's take a few minutes of silence together. Shanti. So have a powerful day, everyone, and powerful remembrance. Shanti.
Om Shanti, everyone. Take care.
Om Shanti, thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Shanti.
Om Shanti all. Have a powerful day.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Pratiba Ben. Have a good day. Bye.